Welcome to The Aside, conversations with authors just off the page. I'm Valerie Beal. I'm your host. I'm an author, but I was also trained as a journalist. So now in these interviews, I get to ask my nosy questions. Each episode features a focused conversation with an author, along with some potentially quirky questions you might not be expecting. If you love reading, writing, or simply learning more about some of your favorite authors, you are in the right place. Let's step off the page and begin. Today, I am joined by Joy Ribar. She's the author of the Deep Lakes mystery series. I've got that right. Deep Lakes?
That's right.
Okay. And the Babe Browning mystery series. Now, Deep Lakes is cozy. Babe Browning is cozy adjacent-ish.
I think that's what Faye Browning is hard to define. I haven't she doesn't want to be put in a box. So I'm just kind of playing around with that. But yeah, most people who read cozy read that series. So I will put her at cozy adjacent, I think. Yeah.
I think so because there's not all the same elements of cozy that are in that you have in your other series, but equally enjoyable and fun to read. I love all these books. And the most recent one was Poetry Slammed in the Babe Browning series.
Yes. Yes.
And I enjoyed that so much. And I'm going to put, with this interview, you all scroll down and you're going to see her book covers. They're so wonderful. Both series, just super fun. And you have a lot of play on words with, of course, the titles in the Babe Browning series, which
Which
is
I think
super
is
fun.
I think that's a cozy thing to do too, that's typical. I think that's how a lot of readers identify, with cozy and they know it's not going to be, they know it's not a thriller and they know it's not gory and, yeah.
I like that though. And people love that too because they know what they're going to get. And if you have, I mean, look, we haven't enough struggles in our daily life. We want some entertainment that doesn't put us all the way on edge. I mean, not like you don't have suspense and there's good mystery plot, but you don't have all of the things that like some, really, really high suspense thrillers with some of the icky parts that I
Yeah.
don't mind reading. I don't mind reading those stories, but I don't want to read them all the time.
I yeah, totally agree with you because I mean, I feel the same way because I don't I think variety is the spice of life. And I think for a lot of readers, I mean, I think most readers read all over the place, which is great for authors. And it's great for readers because you get something. It's a give and take. It's always a transaction. So you're
Yep.
getting something for what you're reading. And then maybe you put that genre aside and you read something different the next book. And, we're lucky that we have such variety, I think.
I like that too. And who is it? So we are both Blackbird writers, and a fellow Blackbird writer, Lori Buchanan, will do that too. Like she'll read something that she's reviewing for someone. Like every other book is one that she's picked, personally picked. So I need to maybe have like more of a rhythm, to my reading that way. But
Yeah.
I have a lot of requests for reviews. I'm sure you do too. Do you get quite a few requests for
A
reviews?
lot. Yes. Which I like. I mean, I enjoy it and I'm honored to do it too, but I
Mhm.
always
Yeah.
try to shove another one, do a couple, shove one in that I'm in a book club too. So,
Oh, you're
usually
busy.
yeah. Yeah. But I think all of that all of that different kind of reading too switches different lights on in my brain. So as writers, it's really good for us. As I think it's equally good for readers because it gets you thinking in all different lines. And that's so good for our brain. Our brain doesn't want just one little piece to light up. It wants to light up everywhere. It's good for us.
That's a good segue to my first official question because we just been chit chatting here. I do have questions. I do have really good questions. I swear. So, but you've got the two series, and you've got they're not small casts of characters either. You've got some pretty.
No.
So, how do you balance writing those two series? And I mean, and not so much keeping things straight, but how do you decide which one's going to be written when? And do you shift back and forth? Are you writing, one in each series at the same time? How does it work, Joy?
Well, for me, I know some people are very gifted at multitasking and writing more than one thing at a time, and I'm not. I like to keep my head into whatever it is I'm writing. But with that said, I might be outlining the next one in the different series. And I do like to swap back and
Mhm.
forth for the most part. When I wrote the fifth Deep Lakes cozy series, I felt like I left my characters in a really good spot to sit and simmer. Even though my a lot of the readers who love that series, and that's how it goes. You have readers who are very faithful and devoted to one or the other, and so they're now waiting because now I've written two in the Bay Browning series in a row. But you have to do what makes sense. And when I wrote the second Bay Browning, the third one had to follow, and it had to follow right away because I left loose
Yes.
threads in book two, and I don't like, most readers don't like loose threads. I didn't like it so much either, but I also thought if I tie all these loose threads up, it's going to take me another 150 pages, and now I've written an epic, which doesn't really work very well for the genre. So that was why I decided that that was calling, and sometimes that's what I do. I listen to who's talking the loudest in my ear. Is it Deep Lake's characters over here, or is it Bay Browning characters over here? And that's, I think for me it's so organic. There's nothing formulaic about it. I don't have any magic go-to book that says, here's what you should do now. I mean, there's no, but but I think I know my characters and I hear them and I know the settings so well because they're in Wisconsin. And so it's all very familiar to me that it isn't a problem floating back and forth. I could probably try to write two at the same time. That would really be a great test for somebody my age.
I'm not sure I would try to do it. Although my books are very different because if I'm writing one in the mystery series or writing like the fantasy, they're very different. And I might be able to get away with it more than, say, a mystery writer, with two different mystery series. I don't know. I think I mix up which clues needed to be, it's just a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I don't sometimes I mean I know that not all readers have a lot of time to think about this, but we do have to consider how to weave things together very tightly because there's
Yeah.
not a lot of room for waste and frivolity. And you can't, if you send somebody off in one direction and then you drop that thread and you go to a different scene in another book, you'd have to really have your head, I don't know, your head would really have to be in the game. To me, it would be like it
Yeah.
would be like I'm performing in two plays at the same time. Oh, because as the author, I mean, you're in it. You're the observer, but you're still in it. You're right in that community. You're right in that scene. You're right in those characters' heads. And so it's not
Yeah.
easy to switch the light off because they are different. And even though it's two mystery series, one of the reasons one is more cozy and one is cozy adjacent anyway is because I wanted to make sure that they were distinctly different. Distinctly,
Oh, and they are.
yeah.
But and you like the cast of characters for different reasons. Like they all feel like real people after a while, right? you
Yes,
know.
they do to me. So I hope that's always the goal, right? You hope so.
Right. You're like, oh, I can hang out with these people now for a little while. This is awesome. I hope everyone lives till the end. I hope we'll see who gets killed off.
Killing off main characters. Ooh, that can I probably wouldn't do that. I
Well, I mean,
said probably.
I
I
mean, I would think your title characters are going to be safe forever because, I mean, not that they don't get into some troubles, but hey, do you
And
have a favorite?
they don't age very fast either. Oh, a favorite character. That's
Or
terrible.
like between, I mean, is that like saying, which is your favorite child? No,
It
right?
is
Kind
kind
of.
of like that because you invest a lot into making the characters complex. So that even,
Yeah.
you can see one as like, oh, I just love this about her, but oh my goodness, this just drives me crazy about her, which is it's good because they should be authentic, I think. And they should be complicated enough to have flaws that people respond to in some way, as in, oh, I'm like her, I can relate, or oh, that drives me crazy about her. Um,
Yeah.
so I just I liked them all. I didn't what surprised me, I think, in the Bay Browning series was that I didn't think that Bay's sister Cassandra was going to end up taking like the big role that she became. I thought she'd be much more supporting, and now some people have said to me, I like her better than Bay. I think she's more interesting than Bay. I think, and I'm like, oh, and I need to work on Bay because the idea that I need to work her up more in, and the next time around. But um, I do too, and I think that it was really fitting that she has grown. She's just grown a lot, and I think that's the thing is she started out one way. And she's also a very much a struggling character, so she's very real. And
Yes.
Faye's
Yes.
struggles are kind of much more internal, and she's cooler, so she doesn't want the world to see any of her struggles, even though they're there.
That's true. It is true. And it makes a lot of sense too for like what her occupation is, right? As a professor, she's got, there's decorum that she has to like kind of keep, you
Yes.
know. But I do agree. I mean, her sister, kind of just slammed into the story, like right on the page when you're like, wait, what now? And I'm not going to give things away because like people need to read this series. And you're like, oh, this is going to be tricky. Here she comes popping back into Bay's life and this doesn't look like a real happy sisterly relationship. Oh boy. Oh boy.
No, no,
Oh my gosh.
exactly. And it just gave it a lot of room right away to go in so many directions. So it was
Yes.
thoroughly
Yes.
enjoyable. I didn't think I would have as much fun crafting that as I am. So that's why I'm already thinking about the fourth one, even though I have something for Frankie Champagne to do first, maybe.
Well, everybody, all your Frankie Champagne fans are going to be like, we're owed a book. We're owed a book.
Yeah, they're already, that's what they said. This time they're like, oh, you wrote a new one. Is it Frankie Champagne? No.
And you're
Serious.
like watching them go, okay, so this is a question I've asked a lot in this interview series to different authors. I get so many interesting answers here. If a TV series was made from your books, in either one or both, if you want to say cast the leading roles, who do you want to play these characters?
So my husband asked me this question once upon a time, so he has made me flesh out that answer. Um, I don't know if you know who Rachel Lee Cook is. She is a short, very petite. I mean, she might be sassy in real life, but she comes off as a having a little bit of sass. And she was in She's All That back in the 1990s with Freddie Prinze Jr. And she was in the Babysitters Club movie. And now she does some Hallmark movies. I think,
Yes, I know who this is.
yeah,
Thank you. The She's All That did it for me.
yes. So she could be a perfect Frankie Champagne. She's also a Midwest girl. She's from Minnesota. And I
Huh?
didn't even realize that. I kind of picked her and then I was looking her up and I'm like, oh, she's from Minnesota. No wonder she comes off as being Frankie Champagne like. And I think that she would be my top pick. I don't even know if I can come up with anybody else. Um, Bae Browning, I really like Zoe Deschanel from New Girl. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she's got the right look for me and a certain amount of intensity to her that I really like. For Cassandra, there's a blonde actress. She's British, but she's played in some American things, but nothing that I'd ever heard of. Her name is Florence Pugh, Pugh.
I
And
know the actress. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
she was nominated as Best Supporting Actor for at the 2019 Little Women. She played Amy in that 2019 version that had Emma Watson in it. Anyway,
Yes.
and she's grown up quite a bit. I think she's almost 30, and she just has a you know, a lot of the blonde actresses, I mean, Cassandra's blonde, and that's just the way it is. I mean, that's my vision. So, but I want her to still have this fierceness about her instead of, I
Mhm.
don't want her to be, I didn't want her to be perky, or I didn't want her to be too glamorous. So Florence Pugh, she's beautiful, but she's got this mystique and intensity about her, especially
Mhm.
around the eyes. And I'm like, that is somebody who needs to be Cassandra Browning.
Wouldn't that be fun? We can dream. So I
Oh,
always say, like, I'm trying to like let's manifest, like, the options, the screen options for you. Like, let's hope, right? Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
right. It's funny though, because don't you find that other people that read your book have totally different ideas in mind of what your character really looks like, and they get their own picture. And I've done this
Oh, they do.
books made into movies, and then the movie comes out, and I go, no, 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 no.
And when they do get it right, um, you're like, oh wow, perfect. I mean,
Yeah,
I kind of wondered, like,
yeah.
right, I love the cast, the Diana Gabaldon Outlander cast. I
Mm-hmm.
They're
Oh,
not quite exactly how I picture them, but I think they've just done such a great job. So like
yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
isn't it weird?
It is weird, but I agree with you. I love it. I love it when I'm wrong. I love it when I go, "Oh, that's not what I envisioned," but wow, did this person really pull this off? I love it. That's kind of why I also like little known actors and actresses to come on the screen and play a big
Hmm.
character, but you've never seen them in anything else, because then you have no preconceived ideas about, oh, well, she was in this really cutesy movie and now she's playing a witch, or so I
Yes.
like it when
Yes.
they get new. I like new blood.
They're not like tainted by their previous roles or whatever. Um, I always hate though when the book covers change when there's a movie and they change it to the like the cut like almost like the movie poster or
Right,
the TV series, and you're like,
right.
and then so I read a lot on my devices, right? And those auto update sometimes, and I get so irritated because I like the old covers, the
I do too.
originals.
I do too, because I feel the same way. I feel like, well, I know you're now marketing this because it's a movie, and now you're going to garner a whole new audience because of it. But I like,
Give me my old cover back. There should
yeah,
be an option. Don't update my covers.
yes, yeah, there should be. I agree. Yes, definitely.
So, speaking of characters, which we kind of sort of still are, what is a weird, hyper specific detail that you know about one of your characters that is irrelevant to the story, but it's something you know about your character?
Now, Frankie Champagne talks to her grandmother when she's baking in her kitchen. And that's the grandmother. Grandma Sophie is the person who taught her everything she knew about baking as a child and into her teenage years. So Grandma Sophie is always, she wears her apron. I know people don't know that. She has some of her utensils, and her, like, her very traditional cookie cutters, and like the, a flour a hand pastry cutter, and so she's got to have Grandma Sophie by her side, so to speak, in the kitchen. So it's one detail that I always think about when I'm writing her, and I've never included it anywhere in the book. But sometimes I think, well, why don't you put that in? Well, it didn't always, sometimes you feel like you got to make the magic happen. It has to fit right. It can't just be like, by the way, you know, those-
As she grabbed the antique
yeah.
spatula with her,
Haunted
that was.
Grandma Sophie still had her initials carved in it. Yeah, I know. You're like, how far down the rabbit hole can I take the reader on this before I get back to a plot point and
Well,
drop it?
unless it was like, a murder weapon, used in the. No, I'm not
Now,
sure you can kill
now,
somebody with a spatula.
now I'm thinking. Yeah, now I'm thinking. I like that. I like that. Um, and I guess for Babe Browning, she truly wishes that she had the same psychic powers her sister did. Her sister has. Which I think is
Mhm.
interesting, because I think in a lot of ways, Cass feels like having those powers is a huge burden, because it can be very
Yes.
painful. And so and it's a dynamic that I might explore at some point in time anyway, and actually have that somewhere in a conversation, or somewhere in a time of need or desperation, where Babe wishes, I wish I were psychic. Wish I had that power. It's like she's envious of Cass. And I think that's one of the things that drives their conflict is that even though she's had problems with her sister and trust issues for sure, it's like, but in the long run, she's a little bit envious that she doesn't share quite the same. She feels like her sister is elevated because of that, and maybe she feels just a little less lucky.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and usually there's that push pull between siblings anyway, where there's, the perceived slights or whatever and the advantages and, like so I could see that being, it's a really interesting thread to explore though.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, I
Bay
think
looks like she's all put together, like we just talked about
so.
on the outside, right?
Definitely. Definitely. And yeah, I mean, but don't you think, I mean, even as an author, anytime you're in anything where you're doing public appearances and you're on stage, so teaching, authoring, author appearances, the work you do with the foundation, you adopt a persona. That is only
Yes.
partially you. You're you teacher mode or you presenter mode or you expert in whatever mode. And then and then you get off
Yes.
before you ever get on that stage, you're a puddle of goo if you're me. And then you pull it all together because you get you get your game face, so to speak. It's your game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I think everybody's a little like this. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people aren't, but I think before I go and do a speaking gig or something like that, like I'm always just a little nervous. I think that comes from being concerned that you're going to do well, and so that actually helps you with your prep. And I think if you ever get over to that arrogant side where I don't need to prepare for this, I know this cold, all of a sudden your slides aren't right, or you know what I mean, like
Right. You get humbled. It's an
yeah.
invitation to humility. Yeah,
It is. It
for
is. Oh,
sure.
yeah. So, kind of speaking of teaching, let's move over. So, you had been English like lit teacher, high school teacher, right?
Hmm?
Educator. And so, this question perhaps pertains to that. So, what word, when used incorrectly, makes you beyond irritated? You can have more than one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll start with the word many of my students would use is the word. Okay, the word is probably, and they would actually write in their papers prolly, Prolly. They would say it that way, they would write it that way. And I would say, you realize that's not a word, and the real word is probably. It has B's in it, it's not prolly. And that just annoyed me to no end because I had to correct it way too many times to make me happy. And I kept thinking, who is, I know that they're probably just being slangy, but I knew some of them had no idea. And so that just drove me crazy. But I have run into a whole bunch of adults that use the word fathom wrong. So instead of saying, I can't fathom what that must be like, they say, I can't phantom what that must be like. I've heard it a lot. There's no fathom, it's phantom. And I'm like, phantom? Phantom? Send a phantom to haunt you because you don't know how to use the word fathom. Yeah.
Wow. And it's so interesting. Like, where did that come from? Like, I mean, growing up, did they get used incorrectly? I mean, like the probably I get because there's just a lot of lazy language going on.
Yes.
And you're like,
Maybe.
could we enunciate our
Yes.
words, please?
Yes. Or at least write the correct word in your formal paper.
Yes. Perhaps spell check should catch that. I don't know.
Yeah,
They're allowed to
I
use that,
know.
right?
You would think so, right?
Probably they ended up maybe like adding it to their dictionary or something.
Could be. Look at how many slang every year, because you get those words of the year and all that stuff. And I go, oh,
Yeah.
made up words, made up words. And then I remember, yes, dear, Shakespeare also made up how many new words that we use all the time. So,
I know.
got to stay open-minded.
I laugh at the slang though. Oh, that's so sus. Or
Yeah.
no cap, meaning
Oh, and
like
I don't even know if
no
that's what
lie. Or
it was. Oh, no lie. Or you really ate that. I went, is that a good thing? It is. It's a good thing, Grandma. See, I have teenage grandchildren now. So yeah, I have one in particular who loves to say, I'm gonna suss that out. And yeah, yeah. So
Like,
I
okay, well, all
learned
right.
suss from that kid. Learned what it meant. It's funny. It's
So,
funny. I can laugh as grandma, but if I were teaching right now, maybe I wouldn't laugh quite as much.
I know. And it's like you can use that slang in your dialogue if you're writing creative, nonfiction, but when you're writing an actual paper on something, you can't be doing that. And that's your job as a teacher. You can't be doing that.
Is. And learning, like it's great to have all these different ways to use language. And isn't it fun how we can manipulate language? But remember when you're writing like a research paper, a formal essay, especially for AP, then you need to put out your best, most formal self. That's what you're putting out there.
Yes.
Show the world
Well,
how
and
intelligent you are, not how slangy you are.
exactly. And I know there's so many people who will talk about like kids getting out of high school and coming into college not able to write an essay. I mean, they didn't come out of your classes, but kids can get through high school not really being able to be a functional writer, like a paragraph, like,
Right.
what's the structure? Just knowing these things so that they can continue on with higher ed. They sometimes need sort of a remedial like English writing course so that they can at least function in their other classes.
Right.
So,
Right. And that's what I did at MATC. When I retired from teaching high school, I went to MATC and started teaching adult basic ed. And it was specifically those people who needed to know, who now were like, oh, I woke up and realized that I'm not a good writer. And no matter what, like, I know I'm going to the police academy or I know I'm going to be a diesel mechanic,
yeah,
but I still have to know how to write a report and I still have to know how to,
yeah.
I have to be able to use formal language or I'm not going to even be able to continue on in my program. So yeah,
Yeah, it's actually
those
more
things.
about like advance, yeah, sorry, like advancement and stuff. Like you don't
Yeah.
look like a professional when you can't
Yes.
create decent sentences.
And you have to be able to write a good resume and still write good cover letters. I mean, they still want those things. I know now it might be all by email and not,
Yeah,
but you still have to, there's a way to write an email to your friend and there's a way to write an email to a potential employer. Yeah.
very much so. Yeah. So, sort of on the same lines, is there a rule, like a writing rule, that you always follow, and one that you think is meant to be broken? You follow all the rules.
Yeah. No, maybe I follow the rules I learned, right? Right. I try, and that's why we also have editors to help us through when we lapse because it's weird because anybody can lapse. Or- Um, well, one of the, I think one of the things, and I don't know if it's even a rule, but it would really make me crazy when I would have students who were trying to write in second person point of view. So they would
Oh,
go,
goodness.
oh yeah. See I know. I have a hard time dealing with that. And they would do that. They would do it sometimes in their exam essays, which is like, okay, I'm reading around that now for you to make your point. But, I would say, okay, I want you to write we had a assignment in creative writing that was a familiar setting. So I want you to write and a very descriptive piece. And so they would, well, when you enter my grandma's house, the first thing you see is her antique rocker. And then
Ugh.
you will turn the corner and go into her kitchen and you will smell her chocolate chip cookies. I'm like, no, I won't because I'm not there. And, and also, it just be, I was trying, you try to explain to them that it's stilted. You can't sustain a second person story and all of the reasons why and where you can get tripped up and things like that. And I know that there's people who are writing experimental fiction right now in second person. And I give them all the credit in the world because I
Yeah.
think it's exceedingly difficult to maintain a true second person perspective. And you know who did it that I noticed because I was teaching at the time? When I read Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom, he has a whole bunch of second person, a whole bunch of things that are in second person. And I didn't
I
realize
didn't
it until I
realize
was
that.
teaching it. And then I said, "Oh my gosh, look at this. There's you all over the place." So then I made that into a study question. Why do you think he's writing in second person? So we have a discussion about it.
I'm going to have to, I have that Tuesdays with Maury somewhere here. I'm going to have to pull that out because often I'm trying to give kids an example of second person when I'm teaching, and I teach more toward the middle school when I do like
Yeah.
workshops.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you're likely not explain what it is so that they know what it is, because we jump usually from explaining first to third, and then you always get a question. Well, what's second? you know. So it'd be good to have, and that that is usable with that age group. Like those
Yeah.
stories are,
Yeah.
yeah.
It fluctuates, but it would be it's there was some very good second person chunks in there. And so yeah, it would be
Yeah,
good to
because those
go
are
revisit.
short, or those like essays. Sorry, essays are short stories, right? So
They're they're short.
they're
Yeah. The chapters
separate.
are short. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you currently reading right now?
Reading. So in the book club that I'm in, we are reading Becoming by Michelle Obama. Which I mean, I know that was out a while ago, but some of us missed it, and I read it. Read it. I think I read it when it first came out. So we're going back and revisiting that. So I think that's interesting. That's what people voted on. And then I am reading Sharon Lynn's new mystery, Death Takes the
Ah,
Night, and the Cocktail
yes.
Times, which I've read all of them. So, and Arthurian Legend is one of my personal favorites. Um, I did a massive paper at my junior or senior year of college on about Arthurian legend, about Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. So I can't, the Arthurian legend is like, it's one of my faves. So that's a fun read. And I just finished reading Theo of Golden, which I know is like a
Ah.
massively popular book right now. And I don't want to say very much about it because I actually I have I have good things to say, and I know that there's tons of people who love it, love it, love it, and I have some things that there were things that I would like to pick at. So, so until it becomes like something I have in a book discussion with somebody, I won't advertise my nitpicky stuff.
I so the
Have
first
you
two
read
books
that
you
one
meant,
yet? Hmm.
no, I haven't, but I want to. So good. Thanks. Don't you won't
No,
you know.
right. It, and I think it's good, but I think when you're done with it, we should talk.
Yes, yes. And there's so many books like that. For instance, I need to find somebody who's read Verity by Colleen Hoover before it comes out as a movie,
Yeah, I've
because
heard of that. Not read it.
it's
Hmm.
one of her, it's really more of a thriller. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's not the in the same vein as her. It ends with us and that those, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And she goes back and forth sometimes to ones that are more thriller-esque. Um, and they just get you thinking. So, but
Mhm.
Becoming by Michelle Obama, I listened to that as an audiobook and she narrates it.
Oh,
And
yeah, she did.
every season, yeah, I mean, which, and her voice is lovely and measured, and she just did a
Yeah,
wonderful job with it. But it's her story, so it makes sense for
right.
her to be the one reading it. We listen to audiobooks when we're picking our blueberries. Here, I'm pointing to my blueberries. Nobody can see them, but
What an idea.
and
Perfect.
so often it's something that my husband and I will both be interested in listening to. And boy, I really appreciated her upbringing, the knowledge I gained about the way she was raised. And there are a lot of similarities. I think growing up in any working class household, with parents who want a lot better life for their kids. Obviously we don't share the same race, but
Right.
I felt like I had so much more in common with her than I ever thought I did. Just about the way she was raised, and just the expectations, and
Mhm.
like the moral code that she
Yes,
was raised with.
yes.
And It's interesting that you're reading that now, given, where we are. We won't get into politics, but just to go back and realize just really the quality of person she is.
Hmm.
And obviously everybody always gets, you get criticized no matter what when you're in politics.
Of course.
Oh,
Mm.
well, good. Those are all. Well, I'll have to catch up with you of Golden, and then we'll talk. We'll talk.
That would be great. I would love that.
So, are you currently writing anything right now, or is the next thing going to be one of the Deep Lake stories, or what are you up
Oh,
to?
oh well. So my husband and I went on a Rhine River Christmas market cruise. And I came up with two story ideas even before we went on the cruise. And I said, "Oh, I had some of the characters and plot ideas kind of fleshed out and before we ever went. And then on the cruise, I just took copious notes about staff and setup and the cities and their history and the markets and all that stuff. And so I started writing, I think, what is the more fun one, which is it's a four novella set for women who are best friends and who are also just in their 20s. They've all just turned 25 and they call themselves the one day women because they said in high school, we are not going to be those people who say one day we're going to go here, one day we're going to go there. We're going to get together every year after high school once a year and we're going to take a trip. And so now this is their 25-year-old trip and not ev people think they're going to be in one place when they're 25 and then maybe they end up someplace else,
Mhm.
because life happened. And so these four are very distinctive women and each one of them will be featured in the novellas and they'll be in different places along the cruise line. So it'll be one continuous cruise, but they will be their adventure will take place in this city and the next one in a different city and the next one in a different city and their challenge is that they have to get involved in the lives of four different strangers. So I think being on a cruise is makes it ripe for you. I mean, you're all in one spot for
Mhm.
days, 10 days, and you're going to talk to people and you're going to have dinner with them. And eventually you get beyond the pleasantries and you start to notice other things and you talk about other things in life. And so each one of them is going to have a very specific involvement with the different passenger.
Ooh, that's very fun. That's super fun. I will definitely be reading that.
Oh,
Let me be a beta reader. Can I be a beta reader?
absolutely. I wonder if I'll ever get it written. No, no, I know. I
You'll
mean, the
get it
goal
done. You'll get it done.
I will. I will. The first novella's done and I'm working through edits and I mean I everything's plotted, so I know exactly what it's going to do, but where my struggle right now is there's a lot of life happening in my life. So
Yes.
where I thought it would be like I can get these blasted out and get them into editing by the end of summer and get them out in time for the holidays and now I'm like or maybe the next holidays. I mean,
And that's okay because
have to.
we have to be flexible that way. I mean, right, life happens. You have to
True.
take the time for family. You have to take time for all the other things. The rhythm of our lives isn't always linear like we want it to
Right.
be when we can't just be head down at our keyboard all the time. So
Right.
yeah.
And I right. I agree. And um I'm trying and I'm, I it's a necessity now for me to view it that way. But when I started writing, I put my first book out in 2019 and I have put a book out every single year. One year I
You
put out
have.
two books. So because I have
Yes.
nine books out now. So it's like well, I'm kind of driven by that rhythm or that like I gotta put a book out. Who will remember me if I don't put a book out? It's just kind of
It
silly.
is.
It's silly.
It is. And I'm in the same boat right now too, because I have had, well, for years I had an agent, things were on submission and I had this lull. But then I started to like put my own stuff out and I was feeling the same way about 2026. So we'll see what happens. But I have sort of just took a deep breath and If I can get there, I get there. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I have a lot of other pieces of my life that are getting busy, and that's okay because you have to also live your life and enjoy the family things and whatever. So
You do.
there,
You
I
do.
give you permission.
Thank you. That's exactly what, but you almost, especially when I mean, people again may not know how isolating it is to be an author, which is why I think we join writing groups so that we can all
Mhm.
share the isolation together and and commiserate sometimes and celebrate other times, but support each other. And that is the thing. It's all of a sudden, it's so hard for us to give ourselves permission. It's like you have to have
Yes.
somebody else tell you it's okay, which is
Well,
weird.
it is weird because we don't work. It's not a 9 to 5, or we're not punching in. We don't have a boss. We're our own boss. And so all the layers of expectation, we're putting those on ourselves. But it helps to be reminded that it is okay. And there's lots of famous authors out there where there's a little bit of a lull before the next book comes out.
Right, right. The
It's
key word
okay.
that I hone in on is famous.
Well, I mean,
Because it's
people
like,
who
well,
maybe,
right,
well, I know, but people who are under contract and really
right,
are, they actually have a contractual obligation.
right,
Sometimes they don't meet their deadlines, and the book's
yeah,
going to be a little bit later than you
right.
expected. And
Well, because
no, the
life
world
happens
doesn't.
for them too.
Exactly, they're real people, and the world doesn't fall apart if your favorite whatever book is 3 months later, 8 months later.
Right,
It will
right.
it will be okay.
Right. And I always feel like there's always new audiences out there waiting to discover your books. I mean, I go back to the classics. I haven't even read I haven't read everything that was written from the 1800s on. I have plenty of reading material out there. So I'm always thinking, well, I mean, when you write books that don't have to necessarily fit into a time period, that they can be
Yes.
fresh no matter when you read them, it's like I should have an audience. I should, there should always be new readers coming along.
Right. And people who are your fans should they'll get a notification when something new comes out. And then they'll go, oh, you know what? I think I need to go back a book or two and reread those other ones. And then you get more sales if they don't have them in their library anymore. I don't know. See, it's all good. It's all
Okay, I'm gonna run with that for the day.
good. Well, thank you for joining me. This is fun. I got to ask all kinds of nosy questions. So thank
I
you.
love it. I
Thank
love
you.
it. I love different questions. Different questions are tons of fun. It's
That's today's conversation on the aside. Thanks for joining me. If you'd like more conversations with authors just off the page, be sure to subscribe.